Hey everyone, Ivy Gaming here, and today we're playing Eternal Evolution, and for today's video we're going to talk about how to gear your support champions. Now support is a little bit more wide-ranged to discuss here. Some of them are just helping to give some buffs to your champions, others are actually healers. We don't have any revivers in this game at the moment, which you can tell because the battles are so quick. I don't know that we really have time for revivals in this game, honestly. The time limits are short, which I kind of like, right? We also have some like reset champions like Rez, and yeah, we're gonna get to the discussions here. There's a variety of people, so again, not a cookie cutter class of champions to talk about. So let's talk about them specifically. Let's start with our healers from the support category. We're gonna start with Mazrani, right? Mazrani is the top healer for, well, healers, support champions. He's the top pick, definitely someone you want. When you're looking at your top 5 wishes for getting a triple S champion to immortal level in your roster, Mazrani should be one of them. He's really going to help your overall like progression for sure, and he's amazing in arena. And you're going to notice that sometimes when you're dealing with content, using 2 healers is really beneficial to help you get through stuff you're stuck. And Serena and Liren, they're all right. But if you got Mazrani and Serena, that's another story. So you really might up your game a bit, or you just don't need the 2 healers and you can do a different combination because Mazrani is just so much better base stats and whatnot as well. So let's talk about him first. So we're going to be talking HP percentage gloves, HP percentage helmet, and HP percentage boots. You also can use damage reduction boots and give that a try if you're having trouble with survivability. Depending on where you're struggling, that might do the trick. But honestly, you really want to get a solid HP. So we're talking like 2.5, 3 million total HP as your goal. It's a lot, but trust me, it's worth it. Defense, we're talking 10k minimum, and damage reduction of 60%. So that's kind of like building your tanks, honestly. The only difference is you can go ahead and put the abundance set on them for extra healing if you can get the stats you need with the set. But don't sacrifice your HP to try to put on a healing set, because you're just going to lose out in the end, and your heals are actually going to be smaller. I do want to point out with Mazrani here, he does prioritize the champions in the back row for his shield here. And you could see the skill prioritizes the unit with the highest attack if there's no one in the back row. So like if he's the only champion in the back row, he's just going to prioritize whoever has the highest attack. So if there's certain champions you know you want shielded and you can put them in the back row, that's going to be best to pair for synergy with Mazrani. And we're going to head over here and we're going to talk about our girl Serena. She's a free champion, easy to get early on as well, right? I say free, I don't know why I say free. You get her in the 30-day login. She's a champion you don't have to worry about waiting on getting. You get her pretty quickly. And there's also a way to get her not free. You can get like 6 copies of Serena just by buying the really cheap top-ups when you're doing the fragments for the first 30 days. You can really take advantage of that and get extra copies, which is something I did as well. I also see her a lot in the recruitment events as the free bonus champion when you're getting your event rewards. She tends to be a reward along the way quite often. So she's someone that you'll probably max out quickly as long as you're smart, and also put her in your wish list, which is totally worth it. Again, just like Mazrani, of course she's going to be needing that HP to heal. She also buffs allies' defense. She has a really great kit, honestly, and she's going to be a very strong healer. Because if you don't have Mazrani, she's going to be much better than Liren, but she's awesome. Same thing for her. You want that HP focus with HP percentage gloves, helmet, damage reduction, or HP percentage boot as well. And you're going to want the same kind of stats, but her base stats are a little lower. So for her, your goals are probably going to be more along the lines of 2 million total HP instead of like 2.5 or 3. It's a little harder to get that on her. But if you get 2 million on her, you should be doing just fine. And then otherwise, you want 10k defense and 60% damage reduction, ideally, for your goals for endgame builds for her. And same thing, I think you can also put her in a healing set instead of full HP, depending on the stats you're able to get. But make sure you guys are always focusing strong HP stats in those healing sets so you're not losing out on the value of that HP percentage in her kit. Now, Liren is our lowest tier of the healers, but honestly, just because he's the worst healer doesn't mean he's not worth building. I built Liren very early on and always used Serena and Liren together until very recently getting Mazrani. I'm 3 months in. It took me almost that long to get Mazrani, so that's fine. I was patient and it paid off in the end, and now my account is dramatically boosted after we had an amazing Halloween double chip event. Hopefully we get one for Christmas too, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so Liren isn't the best healer in the bunch, but he does bring a stun. So there's a little bit of, where is it? Where's the stun? Here we go. He does have a little bit of a stun, so there's some crowd control in the mix here as well. So that's kind of nice to have a little bit of a different debuff happening here too. So Liren will be very helpful for your team early on. Absolutely build all of the healers. I mean, let's see. We have Galactic Arena, we have Twilight Lands, Elite Chapter, Elite Campaign, all these things where you kind of need multiple champions anyway, so you're gonna need Liren in your roster. Of course, when it comes to Liren though, he does have a little bit lower stats, so you're gonna want to focus, same thing, but like Serena, probably 2 million HP is fine for your goal for as far as your total stats go as well. So stick with those strong HP percentage gloves and helmets and boots, or damage reduction boots as well. Experiment and see if you're struggling with survivability. Just try swapping out the boots and see what works better in the spot that you're currently fighting. But it takes a lot of practice getting used to the synergies and seeing what works best for you. But overall, try to hit those strong goals. You're also going to be, of course, on all these champions when it comes to the healers and the other supports. HP, defense, damage reduction overall are kind of what you want to focus. Now let's talk about some other supports besides our healers. We have Aniruda here. This champion seems awesome, and it says such an interesting kit, but it's a quirky one, so it's a little bit more complicated to talk about. Now, we do have, a little bit more cut and dry here. I kind of like chance is based on accuracy. They tell us. I like that. We know this champion needs accuracy. We also know this champion cannot crit. So for a support-based champion, Aniruda actually does do decent damage. That should be said as well. But this is a champion that unfortunately doesn't really shine until you get its EX30 maxed out. This extra accuracy that it provides is really helpful along with the damage reduction and stats here. Plus just the benefits from his weapon improvement, exclusive weapon improvements here. It's definitely worth it as well just to get the EX30. But the problem with the EX30, and even though like it's one of those champions you're probably not going to see huge benefit from unless they're EX30, but you don't want to EX30 them over another champion, especially another high-end SSS, because these red runes that you get, that you have to get these exclusives maxed out for, are very hard to come by. So keep that in mind. I would not prioritize them, but the fun thing about Aniruda is you can get them easier. You can get them easier by advanced summons. So you're not going to notice them on the banners as much. You're going to notice them on the advanced summons, actually. They're the only Triple S champions you can get currently from advanced summoning tickets. So that just something to keep in mind, that you're probably going to pull a couple copies here and there and you'll be extra excited because you got a Triple S, but don't overly invest all of your extra resources until you're a bit more end game to where you've maxed out your core, at least the core 5 champions, and you start playing around with others. But you really want to get that solid core of the top tier Triple S exclusive 30 before you move on to Aniruda. But for this champion, let's just talk quick here. You're going to be wanting some damage. So they cannot crit, which is interesting, at least from that skill. But they can otherwise. So this one cannot crit, but the rest of it can. So how you build them, that's kind of debatable if you want to go crit damage, but really you want to focus some good support stats of HP as well. Probably only like 1 million on this character though, because you're also going to be looking for like 55,000 attack and 120% or 120 accuracy as well. They do need accuracy, and it does clearly state that here. So you absolutely want at least 100 accuracy, ideally a bit more, and to counteract any resist that's going to happen, whether it be PvE or PvP. But Aniruda is top tier for Twilight Lands specifically. They're really going to shine there. They're also a good candidate for the light gap set, so that's something to consider as well. And then, of course, along with that, an accuracy set to get that higher stat requirement. You're also going to be looking for HP, damage reduction, defense in your substats too. Now let's head on over to Rez. Now, Rez is a champion you can get easily, and just by saving your Galactic Arena rewards, the tokens, whatever they're called in that, actually, the shop. Once a month, I always get a res every time that resets. If you have extras left over and you're always having enough to get res every time it resets, then the best thing to buy there is also those limited tickets. But make sure you're getting your res every month. Don't worry about the other champions in that shop. Res is absolutely worth maxing out. So he's super fun. He kind of has this ability to restore the other champion's energy, which brings back their ultimate faster, right? The faster we restore energy, the faster the ultimates come back. So if you pair him with like a Bailey or honestly, any damage dealer alongside Rez, he's going to just allow them to use their ultimates more and more and more often. So he's a great candidate for the light gap set as well, for that energy improvement here. And let's see. And also being a support champion, you are talking survivability. He's not there to do damage in this case. Rez is there just to support other characters and help them do more damage and help boost their stats. So we're going to be focusing HP gloves, HP helmet, and probably damage reduction boots for your Rez, just like you would other supports. You also can, if you don't want to do a light gap set or you don't have very good light gap gear, you can also just go pure HP sets on him as well. But it's so hard. Our gear gets spread so thin. But talking higher end here, we do want to try to get 3 million HP, 10k defense, more like 80% damage reduction on him, honestly. And even for sake of arena, especially 30% crit damage reduction is ideal because you're going to highly use him in arena. He pairs great, especially if you get a Bailey. Bailey and Rez are just so good. I love them together so much. And they're a great arena duo, but you want to make sure he survives to keep helping out. But you can see he does have pretty good base stats. But yeah, that's where you're looking for those top tier total stats for him for survivability. But it's not too bad maxing him. I maxed out my res. I think I'm at, am I? Like I've been playing for over 3 months now. Is my res? Yes, my res is immortal. And I have only got him through the Galactic Shop, and that's with 3 months of gameplay, so not too shabby for a great champion. Just don't use like your gene hybrids on some of these lesser tier that we're talking about, or these ones. Rez isn't lesser tier. He's just one you can get from the shop, so no use to waste your gene hybrids on some of these others. And last, we have Hypnos here. He's just kind of the lower tier of the support champions. He does provide some crowd control and suppression, a little bit of debuffing, but he's definitely not the top tier. Personally, I don't even know that I've used him unless I've had to, for sake of maybe the faction abyss, and that's about it, honestly. But overall, if you do need to use your Hypnos, or you're lucky or unlucky enough to get a ton of extra copies, you're going to be focusing the same thing. This is probably more like 3 HP sets, HP percentage gloves, helmet, and damage reduction boots. So just keep that in mind. He's just going to be a support champion that you try to just keep alive to keep doing damage, looking for those, of course, HP, damage reduction, defense percentage, substats as well to help him stay alive. But I don't think you're going to use Hypnos too often unless they change him to make it a little bit more useful. It's all right with the suppression and whatnot, but it's not going to be something you would put in over like Rez or another support champion. You'd probably be better off just having 2 healers than a Hypnos and 1 healer. But let me know in the comments below if you guys have ever used him in a creative way. I would love to hear where he synergizes well. I've personally not heard too much love for this character, or hero, sorry, in the community, unfortunately, but I mean, you kind of use everybody in this game. That's the good part. Even the bad characters can be used, at least through the factions or in things like Twilight, where you need as many characters as you can get. Twilight Lands is something that probably hasn't popped yet for most new accounts, but you'll see what I mean when you get there. You kind of need as many heroes as you can get that are built out. So you might find some uses for him there, but overall, lowest on the totem pole for our support champions. But that's all for now, guys. Hope you appreciated this video. Just remember, Honoruda is cool and all, but please don't expect too much out of them unless they are EX30, and don't waste your EX materials early on. So even though they're a super fun support champion that seems exciting to get from your summons when you're doing your advanced, yeah, don't get too excited, sadly. But yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that. And I will see you guys in the next video.
Eternal Evolution. Play now for free.